Hello, dear friends. Today we'll be talking about the topic, the Resilient Journey of Wiyeng, how kindness transformed her life. Please support me so that I can continue creating quality videos every day. In the heart of a large European city, amid the harsh winter as icy winds swept through every corner, 13-year-old Wiyeng, a young girl of color, walked quietly through the bustling streets. The piercing winter cold seemed to stifle everything, yet it could not extinguish the hope and warmth in her heart. Wiyeng's family wasn't wealthy. They were poor immigrants, living off her parents' hard labor. Each day in this city was a struggle to save every penny, simply to have a full meal. Though young, Wiyeng understood the hardships her family faced. She witnessed her mother staying up late to sew and earn extra money, and her father leaving for work early in the freezing mornings. She understood her parents' sacrifices to give her a better life, even in small ways. As a result, kindness seemed to have grown within her, nourished by the simple acts of family life, from modest, love-filled meals to her parents' calloused hands and their silent sacrifices. One day on her way home from school, Wiyeng walked through the biting wind along a familiar path. Her mind wandered to that day's lessons and sometimes to her humble dreams, of one day helping her family and leading a good life. Suddenly, her gaze was drawn to a scene that made her stop. A thin, frail old woman huddled on the roadside. The elderly woman wore a flimsy coat, clearly inadequate for such harsh weather. Her gray hair was disheveled, her face wrinkled, and her thin hands clasped together, trying to retain some warmth. She shivered repeatedly, as though she had been battling the cold for a long time. Perhaps at that moment, the cold she felt came not only from the weather, but also from loneliness and isolation amidst the rush of life around her. Seeing this, Wiyeng felt a pang of compassion. She watched every expression on the elderly woman's face, and in that instant, a strong thought surged within her. She wanted to help. Without a moment's hesitation, Wiyeng approached, gently removed the warm scarf she was wearing, and carefully wrapped it around the woman's shoulders. The cold that touched her bare neck felt like a small sacrifice, yet it made her feel warmer inside than ever. "Thank you, kind girl." The elderly woman's voice trembled with emotion as she felt the warmth of the scarf. Her eyes sparkled with a touch of hope, a hint of fleeting happiness, as if she had been waiting for this moment for a long time. "May all good things come your way and bless your family." Her words, like a blessing, drifted softly in the cold wind. Her eyes shone with a small glimmer of faith, as if human kindness had helped her overcome life's bitter chill. Wiyeng smiled, feeling an unusual lightness and peace upon seeing the joy on the woman's face. Although her own family was not well off, and though she herself was enduring the cold, she understood that kindness transcended wealth. Happiness came from seeing others helped, from sharing warmth. When people give love, they too feel warmth in their hearts. After giving the scarf, Wiyeng sat down beside the elderly woman and chatted with her for a while. She shared stories about her life, about her poor but loving family, and her humble dreams. The elderly woman listened, her eyes twinkling, occasionally nodding, and at times showing signs of deep emotion. To Wiyeng, the elderly woman felt like an elder friend, someone she could share her thoughts and dreams with. Although the woman did not share much about herself, her gaze was full of warmth and care. They sat together, chatting like two friends, in the middle of a bustling city that seemed to forget them in this moment. After some time, as the streetlights began to shine, Wiyeng knew it was time to go home. She stood up and bade the elderly woman farewell with a bright smile. Before leaving, she looked back one more time, feeling an indescribable joy in her heart. "I have to go now. I wish you good health and peace," she said, filled with hope that her small act would bring a bit of warmth to the woman. The elderly woman sat there, smiling as she watched Wiyeng disappear into the crowd. A sense of gratitude filled her heart. She felt warmth not only in her body but also in her soul, feeling the kindness of human connection amidst the cold weather. Little did the young girl know that her small act had touched the depths of a lonely heart, and the elderly woman, with her aged eyes, silently promised to remember this moment forever. Wiyeng returned home, her heart filled with joy and happiness. She didn't think her actions would bring anything special. She only knew that she had followed her heart, helping someone else even though she herself had very little. She felt the warmth of the scarf now given to someone else, and that alone made her feel happy. It's these small things, the simple and genuine moments, that create the beauty of kindness. Wiyeng returned home, unaware that her story with the elderly woman would lead to a journey full of challenges, yet equally magical, for herself and her family. She had planted a seed of kindness, and that seed would grow and flourish, not only in others' lives but also in her own heart. In that moment in the cold winter, Wiyeng gave warmth without expecting anything in return. Her kindness, nurtured by family love and life's small lessons, created a story that went far beyond imagination. A small act filled with love and compassion can transcend all distances, all differences, and reach the hearts of others. The next day, as Wiyeng sat having breakfast with her family, she felt a sense of warmth and peace in the air, like a brief pause from all the hardships of life. But in that very moment, a loud, rapid knocking on the door shattered the tranquility. The sound pounded against the fragile walls of this poor family's home. The door swung open, and Wiyeng's parents looked on in shock as police officers entered with serious expressions. The police chief coldly announced that they were there to arrest Wiyeng for allegedly stealing a luxury item worth millions of dollars from a famous store in the city. This accusation was like a knife piercing her family's dignity. Wiyeng's parents stared in disbelief, not understanding what was happening. With a fearful and stunned look, Wiyeng tried to explain that she was not involved, that she had done no such thing. But no one listened to her. The police quickly took her away, leaving her family no chance to speak or explain. News of the theft spread throughout the city. Media outlets constantly reported on the story, and the situation became increasingly complicated. Headlines filled with mocking and biased language, describing Wiyeng's family as deceitful, taking advantage of others' kindness to carry out criminal acts. Their family became the center of gossip, scorned in the eyes of the community. The poverty of her family suddenly became an excuse, a reason for people to readily believe that they were capable of such disgraceful acts. News of the theft spread throughout the city. Media outlets continuously covered the story, and the situation became increasingly complicated. Headlines were filled with sarcastic and biased phrases, portraying Wiyeng's family as cunning thieves who exploited others' kindness to commit crimes. Her family became the focus of gossip and scorn in the eyes of the community. Suddenly, her family's poverty was seen as an excuse, a reason for people to assume they were capable of disgraceful acts. Wiyeng's family tried to explain the situation, but no one believed them. Former friends turned their backs, looking at them with contempt. Gradually, they were shunned by society, pushed to the margins, as if no one cared to listen to their side of the story. For an immigrant family with neither status nor wealth, proving their innocence became more challenging than ever. In the days that followed, Wiyeng felt like she was trapped in a never-ending nightmare. She felt humiliated and isolated amidst the rumors and societal rejection. Although she was still young, she realized this was not just a minor incident, but a dark turning point in her life. She remembered the warm moment when she gave her scarf to the elderly woman and the gratitude in the woman's eyes. She never imagined that just hours after that small act of kindness, her life would be turned upside down like this. But deep down, Wiyeng held on to a powerful belief that she had done nothing wrong, and that she couldn't give up. Each day, the young girl had to face contemptuous stares from those around her. Her classmates didn't miss a chance to mock her, calling her a thief and a fraud. These cruel words cut deeply, wounding her tender heart more than anything else. She felt like she was being pushed into a pit of despair, with no one who understood or believed in her innocence. Silent tears would fall each night as she remembered the peaceful days with her family, when people treated each other kindly, before her world was engulfed by this undeserved shame. Meanwhile, her parents were also subjected to humiliation from friends and neighbors. Whispers, curious and hateful glances followed them wherever they went. They were seen as con artists, as people unworthy of being part of the community. Their already impoverished family fell deeper into hardship, as they now bore the weight of a massive debt they didn't know how to repay. Everything seemed to be collapsing before their eyes. However, amid the despair, Wiyeng held on to a glimmer of hope, a strong belief in the truth. She knew she was innocent, and that her family didn't deserve this suffering. Even if society turned its back on her, even if friends scorned her, even if the whole world seemed against her, Wiyeng believed that the truth would ultimately prevail. She held steadfast, refusing to let herself be defeated by the injustice and false accusations that surrounded her. Despite the hurt and pressure from all sides, Wiyeng's parents did not give up. They knew their daughter had done nothing wrong, and they were determined to protect her to the very end. To them, Wiyeng was everything, their hope, the reason they could not fall. Quietly, they encouraged each other to get through these dark days, always believing that justice would one day be served, and that their family would be cleared of all blame. These months of undeserved hardship left deep scars in Wiyeng's heart. But she knew that through these difficult circumstances, she would learn strength, resilience, and determination. The humiliation her family endured, the cold rejection from society, ignited within her a powerful will. One day, she would prove to everyone that she was innocent, that her family deserved respect. The injustice she faced was not just a test, but also a valuable lesson. She gradually realized that the truth is not always easily recognized. And in times like these, resilience and self-belief are the strongest weapons to overcome all obstacles. Despite facing great adversity, Wiyeng kept her heart pure and remained determined to prove her innocence. To her, kindness was something that could never be overshadowed by injustice and cruel accusations. She believed that one day, the truth would be revealed, and everyone would understand her innocence. This belief became a source of strength, helping her endure the contemptuous glances and harsh rumors. Each night as she lay in her small room, Wiyeng recalled the grateful look in the elderly woman Emmy's eyes when she received the warm scarf from her hands. That image served as a silent encouragement, reminding her that kindness and genuine compassion always endure, even in the hardest times. In her young but resilient mind, Wiyeng did not allow herself to fall. She understood that helping the elderly woman was not only an act of kindness, but also a testament to the compassion her family had taught her since childhood. Though she and her family were now facing severe hardships, Wiyeng held on to her faith in goodness, and in the value of helping others without expecting anything in return. Sometimes she dreamed that somehow the elderly woman she had helped would remember her, and know that her family was struggling. That thought, fragile as it was, helped her hold on to the belief that the light of kindness would ultimately lead to the truth. At the same time, the elderly woman Emmy, whom Wiyeng had once met and helped, was not actually a homeless person. She was in fact the mayor of the city, a powerful and compassionate woman engaged in a unique experiment. To gain a deeper understanding of the lives of the less fortunate in the city, Emmy had disguised herself as a homeless person to experience life on the streets. For days she wandered through the streets, sitting on sidewalks, observing how people treated those in need. This wasn't just a survey to understand the community, but also a profound lesson in empathy and kindness. When she met Wiyeng, Emmy was genuinely moved by the young girl's sincere heart. As Wiyeng wrapped her warm scarf around her shoulders, Emmy felt not only physical warmth but also a heartfelt kindness, the kind of warmth she had never received from strangers before. That night, when she returned to her real life, she couldn't stop thinking about Wiyeng, about this small girl with such a big heart. Wiyeng's compassion touched her deeply, inspiring Emmy to learn more about her and her family. As Emmy delved deeper into Wiyeng's family situation, she discovered the hardships they were facing. And most heartbreaking of all, she learned that they were suffering from unjust accusations and contemptuous looks from society, due to a baseless misunderstanding. Emmy felt both guilt and sorrow upon realizing that Wiyeng's family was being oppressed, pushed into dire circumstances because of prejudice and discrimination. The more she learned, the more she realized that the suffering endured by this family was not merely temporary hardship, but also a profound loss of dignity and trust in the fairness that society had so carelessly taken from them. The sincerity of Wiyeng's heart and the suffering her family was enduring awakened something in Emmy. As a mayor who had once been somewhat distant, she suddenly realized her responsibilities needed to be greater and more profound. A sense of guilt and empathy rose within her. She decided she could not just stand by and watch Wiyeng's family sink deeper into misfortune. She told herself that, with the position and power she held, she had the responsibility to do something to help and to restore justice for this family. More than that, she wanted to repay Wiyeng's kindness, the young girl who had taught her an invaluable lesson about compassion and humanity. Using her influence, Emmy began quietly working on a plan to clear Wiyeng's family of wrongdoing. She was determined to clarify the entire situation, not only to help Wiyeng, but also to expose the injustices that the underprivileged often endure. To Emmy, Wiyeng was no longer just an anonymous girl she'd met on the street, but had become a symbol of resilience and kindness amidst a life filled with challenges and prejudice. A few weeks later, Emmy decided to invite Wiyeng's family to her office at City Hall. The family arrived, filled with a mix of anxiety and confusion, not knowing what to expect. When they saw the homeless old woman now dressed in elegant clothing, her face kind yet exuding authority, they were all shocked and couldn't believe their eyes. With a dignified presence and a confident voice, Emmy calmly explained her unique experiment. She revealed that she had disguised herself as a homeless person to better understand the lives of the less fortunate in the city. Smiling at Wiyeng, she said, "Wiyeng, you are a girl with a heart of gold. Your kindness showed me that sometimes the greatest goodness is hidden in the most challenging places." Wiyeng and her family were moved beyond words. In that moment, they realized that Wiyeng's small act of kindness had not only helped a stranger, but had also become a light against the dark prejudices of life. Emmy, in her role as mayor, used her authority to clear Wiyeng and her family of all wrongful accusations. She ensured that all baseless charges were dropped, and they were no longer burdened by the enormous debt and undeserved shame. The story of Wiyeng and her kindness spread throughout the city like a wave of positivity. People began to reflect on themselves, realizing that compassion can exist anywhere and come from anyone, regardless of poverty or wealth. From a poor girl falsely accused, Wiyeng became a symbol of kindness and the strength of truth. Her story became a powerful example of how kindness can overcome all challenges and hardships, spreading and awakening faith in humanity within a society often filled with prejudice and injustice. Not only did Emmy clear Wiyeng's name, but she also decided to sponsor all of her education expenses until she reached adulthood. This was an unexpected decision for Wiyeng's family, and they couldn't hide their emotions. In that moment, they felt as though the heavy burden of poverty that had weighed on them for so long was finally lifting. Gently taking Wiyeng's hand, Emmy said, "You've shown me that kindness is never meaningless, and I want to give you the opportunity to develop yourself, to change your life and the lives of those around you." For Emmy, supporting Wiyeng wasn't just a way to repay her kindness, but a gift to open up a new path for her future. This was the key to helping Wiyeng escape poverty, freeing her from the limitations that her family's circumstances had imposed. In the tear-filled eyes of her parents and the joyful smile on Wiyeng's face, Emmy knew she was making a real difference, not only for one young girl but for an entire family, giving them a chance at a better future. With Emmy's help, Wiyeng gradually overcame her hardships and continued studying diligently. The painful experiences she had endured didn't break her. Instead, they shaped her dream of becoming a lawyer, a protector of justice, standing up for the innocent, the impoverished, and the voiceless whom society had neglected. Wiyeng understood that not everyone was fortunate enough to have someone to support them, as Mayor Emmy had done for her. For this reason, she was determined to dedicate her life to fighting for the vulnerable and protecting them from the injustices she and her family had once faced. As the years went by with perseverance and strong determination, Wiyeng graduated and became a courageous lawyer. She didn't just work to protect her family's rights, but dedicated herself wholeheartedly to defending the vulnerable in society. She was especially concerned about those harmed by prejudice, racial discrimination, and social injustice. With each case, she was not only a lawyer but also a companion, someone who listened and shared her clients' pain. Gradually, Wiyeng built a reputation as a fair and passionate lawyer. She was ready to face any challenge to bring justice to the vulnerable, continuing the mission she had promised herself when she was just a poor, innocent girl. Wiyeng's life is living proof that kindness and resilience can overcome all obstacles. From a poor, wrongfully accused girl, she became a symbol of justice, compassion, and tireless dedication to the underprivileged. Her story is not only a personal journey of overcoming hardship, but also an inspiring flame that rekindles faith and kindness for the entire community. Her actions remind everyone that kindness, no matter how small, has the power to change lives, not only for those who receive it, but also for those who give it, opening new hopes amidst life's challenges. Thank you for following my story today. See you in the next video, and don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button.